that my alignment with the reason why I'm alive changes my biochemistry. And as I evolve, my biochemistry operates without me in the way, without my personality and my fears in the way. And that causes a certain flow and a certain energy in my mitochondria. And it's a powerful thing to do to start to align with that unique expression of the divine that we are, because our biochemistry completely shifts to align to that level of passion and expression, and the well being flows at a much greater pace. The thriving operating system is when you start to align with who you are. The passion is not about the job that comes, it's the who you're being. If I can be in the inquiry of how can I make the biggest difference, if I can be a contribution in my everyday, I'm aligning with being in the constant discovery.
There are moments in life when we realize that the harder we push, the more stuck we seem to be. What if the answer isn't more effort, but a different understanding of how life itself works? In this conversation, we explore what it really means to get out of our own way, the difference between effort and flow, why so many people feel stuck despite doing everything right, and how understanding the deeper principles that govern life can transform the way we approach health, business, relationships, and purpose. My guest, Jennifer Hough, is a #1 international best-selling author of UNSTUCK, The Physics of Getting Out of Your Own Way, a TEDx speaker, CEO of The Wide Awakening, and an international award-winning trainer. Jennifer has spent decades helping doctors, educators, CEOs, and organizations understand what she calls the physics of flow, the principles that govern not only the health and well being, but also our abundance, leadership, and fulfillment. If you've ever felt stuck in life, this conversation is for you. I absolutely loved it, and I hope you will too. Welcome to Good is What Makes You Feel Well, Mama Terra's podcast. Each week, we will explore topics that impact your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health through inspiring transformation stories. Here, you will find practical guidance and actionable strategies to apply in your daily life. I'm your host, Ana Rezende, author, health coach, and speaker. I'm here to help you protect your energy, strengthen your well-being, and thrive through life's transitions. Speaking of life transitions, I would love for you to go to Amazon and check my book, Living Your Best Life in College, which I wrote as a guide for young adults transitioning from high school to college. If you are a student, a parent, a teacher, or someone who cares about well-being, this book might be a game changer. Now, let's dive in and discover all the different ways you can feel well. Vista transcende levita. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, nice to be here.
Welcome to Good is What Makes You Feel Well.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm excited to see where our conversation goes for sure.
Me too. So, for us to start, I would like to ask you what in this moment of your life makes you feel well?
What makes me feel well is going for walks in nature and remembering that I am being served by the trees and the plants that are breathing out what I'm breathing in, and that I didn't have to ask for it, that the reciprocity of nature with me is that it breathes out what I breathe in and I breathe out what it breathes in, and that that actually is a metaphor for life, and that I don't have to earn that. I don't have to deserve it. I just have to be alive to have the experience of it. And that the more that I claim that way of being, the more at peace my biology gets. That life is here for me. It's not here against me. It's here for me. And so as I approach life that way, literally my entire biochemistry shifts.
I just absolutely love this. Yeah. Isn't that amazing how magical this interconnection is?
It is. I mean, the interconnection goes so far beyond that. I always imagine because it's true that the origination of atoms being created in the first place, where they spilled into this universe and flew forward, crashing against each other to create planets and life, that I'm made and you're made and everyone is made of those same atoms. And
Mm-hmm.
if we're made of those same atoms, the history of anything that's ever been made or anything that's ever been created is already within us. We already have all the wisdom of all time. And so when I fall into my amygdala and get like a little stress puppy and start being reactive, I just remember literally I'm made of that stardust. So that's kind of an extension of what makes me feel good. But that's another understanding of life that has me feel very good, that it's already all within me.
Mm-hmm. We are all the same matter, right?
We're we're all the same matter with different interesting personalities that animate that matter, and sort of the quantum part of us that's a soul
Mm-hmm.
animating that matter in is what makes it interesting. It's so we can that's the way we get to create. And so yeah. It's interesting before I got on reading your and getting to know you a little bit better. My entire ancestry is engineers. So
Uh-huh.
there's a way of thinking on my mother and father's side. And so there's a way of thinking. And there's something about having engineering in your DNA that makes you want to pursue the path of most efficiency, productivity. There's just something about it. I don't know what that is. And the interesting thing is, I ran the largest holistic, basically integrative health practice in Canada for the longest time. So
Oh,
what's really interesting is when I read your bio, I went, "Oh, now I understand why we got connected."
nothing is by chance.
It never
Never in
is.
this
It
universe.
never is.
Oh my goodness. And where are you in Canada?
I'm not in Canada anymore. I'm in the
Okay.
US. I married an American and moved down to the States.
Mm.
And yeah, yay.
It's so magical. Anyways, you said now what makes you feel well is feeling and living this interconnectedness with nature, understanding that we are all just one big thing coming from
At
the
that
same
level,
source. Yeah.
yeah, we come from the same source, but in the three-dimensional level, we are not one thing. We are separate, unique expressions of the divine. And
Yes.
from the place of our origin, we come from one place. But that place of origin, whether you call it God, universe, Big Bang, it doesn't really matter. But from that place, since we're each unique expressions of that greater, or let's say the smallest aspects of us or the least visible aspects of us, since we come from that place, there's a basic contextual understanding of life that we can have. And then we each get to be our own unique creative forces in this world. And that's where the fun is, to be able to co-create with other unique expressions of that original, you know, original you.
Mm-hmm.
So I really feel as though the more can we can return, see those origins of us, even though we came from an original context, that everything is being created forward and outwards as the atoms of all that has ever been fly through space in a spiral, as all of that happens, that means even our atoms are flying. There's like 50 to 75 trillion cells in your body. And then there's 100 trillion atoms per cell. That's an insane number of atoms. And atoms are born to expand forward, to continue to be involved in the evolution, just like they are in the universe, in space. And so we are made of that. So I find, especially back when I was a health practitioner, which I still am in a way, when I was a health practitioner, that my alignment with who I am as that deeper creative force, with the passion that's calling me forward, I find that has one of the biggest effects on my biological well-being
Mm.
of any any aspect of health that I've ever explored. That my alignment with the reason why I'm alive changes my biochemistry. And as I evolve, my biochemistry operates without me in the way, without my personality and my fears in the way. And that causes a certain flow and a certain energy in my mitochondria. And it's a powerful thing to do, to start to align with that unique expression of the divine that we are, because our biochemistry completely shifts to align to that level of passion and expression, and the well-being flows at a much greater pace.
I couldn't agree more
I'm
because
sure.
I experienced that myself
Uh-huh.
with the shift of career and actually finding my calling and my
Yes.
purpose.
Yep.
So I can feel in my whole being, in my soul, in my bones, that now I am doing what I was meant to do. And I feel a different sense of wellness because of
Hmm.
that alignment.
It's interesting, isn't it? There's a foundational level of well-being that starts to kind of pervade and infiltrate the body, enlivens us from the
Mhm.
inside out. And yeah, it's pretty powerful.
It is powerful. So you mentioned that this is the place you are now, but I do believe you have an interesting trajectory to get to the place you are. So how this concept of wellness and how being well was for you throughout your life, like this evolution throughout your life?
If you are enjoying this episode but don't yet understand the multidimensionality of health, I created a free ebook to help you. It's a simple yet insightful few page book you can read in less than 10 minutes. The ebook link is in the show notes. Now, back to the episode.
Well, I was born not well. I almost died of a viral infection, and my life started that way. So every step along the way has been a choice to continue to be here.
Mm.
And so when I was in my 20s, I almost died again by exposing myself to something that really should have given me cancer, but it did not. And I should have died from that, from toxic exposure. And that was my catalyst to become a holistic nutritionist, because the doctors couldn't help me from it's not the doctor's fault. They don't get trained in how to detoxify and, get rid of stuff in your body and make sure that you're healthy and well. And it's not their fault. So I had to pursue other means because I wasn't willing to lay down and die. I was having all sorts of toxins come out my lymphatic system and getting migraines, and it was horrible. And it changed my path because I was an economist. So
Mm.
I was an economist for a big multinational company in manufacturing. I worked with contract manufacturers. So there's another coincidence of our connection. And I left that job, which probably would have been paying me incredibly well and moving up a ladder and all the things that you're supposed to do that society tells you. But I knew as soon as I started taking care of my well-being that it was time. I felt like it happened on purpose. It really did happen that I switched careers on purpose. And as I started to reduce my biological age from the work that and the investigation, and I'm like a ferret about details and research, and I am just a little, you know, info seeking, missile. I like will find it all. And so as I was going on that journey, I realized that most people aren't like me in being so researchy. And secondly, I realized that most people also don't understand why they're perpetually, not well or why they have to age. And as I pursued that, I looked at something called your biological age.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to reduce my biological age because I had had a test done. And at 31, I believe that my biological age was somewhere between 49 and 53.
Whoa.
And yeah, well, because I had had all this toxic exposure,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, as a pretty type A, stressed out person, the way I looked at life was pretty stressful too. I just said, okay, game on. By the time I was 42, I think my biological age was 33.
Whoa.
So
Good job.
I haven't done it lately, but I should do it again soon. Yeah. So then I realized who wouldn't want to reduce their biological age? So my
Mm-hmm.
my practice started to be I worked with women and we worked on their adrenals and their thyroid, and then I realized the connection of psychoneuroimmunology and epigenetics and neuroplasticity. I ended up one of my students was a foremother of the research on neuroplasticity in Cambridge
Mm-hmm.
University. And so I learned a lot about neuroplasticity from her. And I realized that if I don't help people help my clients and myself change the paradigm through which I'm living life, and if I don't understand the quantum physics of how it works, and if I don't understand the smallest particles or aspects of us and how they work, then we'll just be, doing cleanses the rest of my life and restricting my eating and just being a big stress bucket about that, being a type A about that. And when it's the actual way of being a type A, a perfectionist, that was causing the issues in the first place. Just incredible amounts of cortisol and, so many things.
Mm-hmm.
So that basically was my journey. And then at some point during, can I get a little bit woo?
Oh yeah, of course.
Good. Well, at some point in my journey, when I realized that I might die of the migraines that I was having because my brain was not working, I just started to be able to see holographically, meaning when I look at someone or a situation, if I get enough information, I can see all the way backwards through time of everything that evolved in order to get that person to that place. And I can
Mm.
see all the way forward to every possible trajectory that could happen and then the most likely trajectory. And then I can also feel into what are the most congruent, empowering questions I can ask to get this person back in alignment with themselves and the reason they're on the planet. And so as I started to use that in my holistic health practice, in my clinic, people's whole lives were changing. Their whole trajectory was changing. Their abundance was changing. Their relationships were changing. So it wasn't just their health, what they magnetized to their lives without ever having to use intention. Literally, what they attracted as a living magnet became completely different. The health piece was like this big compared to all the other things that were changing. And so this is what started to happen. And that's what got me passionate about all this stuff.
Yeah, this is such powerful stuff. It's powerful. Oh my gosh. And that's why I love to talk about this so much. When we
Yes.
get in alignment, I mean, the abundance in the universe, right?
Hmm.
It's
Oh,
limitless and
yeah.
it's all there.
Yeah.
Everything is just out there.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
just a matter of aligning our energy to receive. Because if we are doing what we are supposed to do, the
Yes.
whole universe will conspire with that. And then
It
everything is going to flow.
And the fun thing is that that's constantly evolving. So what we
Mm-hmm.
think we're supposed to do today It's a different operating system from how most people live. You and I might talk about, okay, you get to your purpose and then everything's going to be okay. But in truth, there's a lot of practices and evolutions that happen in order to get us to the place where we are able to be in that alignment because our histories have us be afraid to
Mhm.
change. And our world makes us afraid to step out because of all the changes that are going on in the world. And if you don't understand physics and you can't, I would say, understand the mechanics behind physics, then it's very hard to understand how it would only benefit us to be able to fly forward on purpose. And the other thing is that stops people is that most people don't understand that it doesn't equal being happy all the time either.
Mhm.
People die, pets die, you have to move, unfortunate things happen on vacation, whatever it is. It's about the operating system with which you come, the context with which you breathe with life is the more important thing. In other words, the way you operate is actually more important than finding your purpose, because when you operate from a state of flow, from the understanding of how physics works and how your brain works and how your brain and your heart work with physics and all those kinds of things, what happens is there's an alignment and your purpose will find you. And the last thing I want to say about why people never find this level of alignment is because they think their purpose is actually a job, but it's not actually a job, it's a beingness. So for me, that beingness shift was, I remember in my 20s, I was in my late 20s after I got that toxic exposure. I was so passionate, and I was so passionate about sharing the information that I understood about nutrition.
Mhm.
And passion is the language of the universe. But was nutrition my purpose? No, my purpose was to make a difference for other people.
Mhm.
So that just happened to be the avenue that matched me best. But consciousness, if someone had told me at 15 years old I'd end up having the largest integrative health clinic like, no, I wanted to be a veterinarian, right?
Mhm.
So, no, it just, that's just not what was going to happen. So the purpose finds us as we be who we came here to be. I didn't know I was going to be a nutritionist. I was just sharing. I was a personal trainer on the side at the time while I was working as an economist. And my personal training clients were saying, why are you looking so much younger? What are you doing? Da, 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 da. And I said, well, the reason is because I'm doing all this stuff. Do you want to see how it works? And they're like, yeah. So I started teaching, and all of a sudden they're referring me like crazy. And that's the thriving operating system. The thriving operating system is when you start to align with who you are. The passion is not about the job that comes. It's the who you're being, which for me was about making a difference for people and answering the question, what's the greatest thing I can do that would make the biggest difference? That would have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that I did what I came to the planet for. If I can answer that question, if I can be in the inquiry of how can I make the biggest difference, if I can be a contribution in my everyday, I'm aligning with being in the constant discovery of what the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's not about the job. If you're a grocery store clerk and you know that there's more for you, don't be upset and stamping your feet as a grocery store clerk. Walk people to the car, pack their groceries, talk to them, be the person you are designed to be. And I promise you, someone will come along in the grocery store line and go, what are you doing? Come in. Not that there's anything wrong with being a grocery store clerk. I'm just saying someone's going to come along if you be all of yourself, and you are going to attract someone you're going to attract someone who's going to invite you to your next evolution without exception. It is all about being yourself no matter what you're doing, and your next evolution will find you. So, just wanted to make sure people don't get confused that first comes the job and then you get happy. You cannot find the job without already feeling fulfilled where you are. And if you don't feel fulfilled where you are, you aren't a vibrational match for the next thing that would fulfill you. It's physics. There's no way around it. So you can stamp your feet all you want that you're not getting what you want. But if you have to make wrong what is in order to get to your evolution, you're not going to find your evolution because you're in the lower frequency of what is not wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that because it all starts within,
No matter what, it
no
all
matter
starts.
what. And it
Yep,
doesn't matter where you are. Like John Kabat-Zinn said, wherever you go, there you are. So
that's right.
it's from inside out. It all
Yeah,
starts within.
it always does. And, one of the things that's come up a lot lately that people are asking me about in our channeled sessions is what about intention in all of this? And I always tell the story. I used to teach a program. The very first program I taught around the connection of the mind to the body was called Get Out of Your Own Way.
Mm,
And in that, just reminded of that. And I remember this woman, let's call her Mary. Mary came in to the room on the first day. It used to be a 5-day program. She came in on the first day and we were talking about magnetics. We were talking about, how we can start to be a living receiver for things. And you could tell she was really excited about the conversation. She went back home. She came back the next day and she goes, Jennifer, you will never believe this. My son found my vision board from 5 years ago. And I said, oh, that's great. She said, no, 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 you don't get it. Okay, look at what I drove here. And it was like a Ford F-150 or something, a red one, really cool truck, cool looking truck. They were in construction. Then I said, oh, that's really cool. She goes, now look at my vision board. And she opened it up and said, and there's a red
the
Ford
red truck.
F-150 from 5 years ago. And I said, uh-huh. She said, I totally forgot. She said, see, it works. And I said, well, actually, can we go deeper and actually look at the physics of that? And she said, sure. I said, if you can understand this, you will have exponentially more flow than people that operate from intention. Because what you're thinking is that because you intended the Ford F-150 on your vision board, that's why you have it. And I want to tell you that's not how physics works. How physics works is this: consciousness already knows the trajectory you're on in your life,
Mm,
it already knows where you're headed. It already has a beat on all of the future potentials you ever could live. And likely you were headed directly because of the choices you made, and you're in construction and a bunch of stuff, and how much money you guys were making and all the things. And consciousness just looked at that and made sure that the magazine with the Ford F-150 was right in front of you so you could cut out the picture. And she said, what? And I said, it was already done, Mary. It was already done. Consciousness is trying to empower you. And at that point in our understanding of how magnetics works, we were still pretty self important as human beings. And self importance begets the idea that, look at me, my 3D self intended this. Now, you are being intended by your greater self, which put in front of you the picture, which resonated with you because it resonated with a potential future that was eventually going to come. And then you even attracted being in a class about this. And you literally attracted this conversation so that you could understand the physics more, so that you wouldn't be so attached to making intentions, understanding the consciousness, the smallest particles of you, the waveforms and the photons and all that kind of stuff love you so much that literally you're already headed in a trajectory. And ultimately, if you live your life in alignment and be a good person and do all the things that have you feel in flow with whatever you have going on, then what's going to happen is Ford F-150s all over the place, whatever version of that that's going to happen. You don't need to be so involved. Just notice the miraculous and the evolutions, and consciousness will know that you're interested in more transcendent, miraculous results by your noticing and appreciation of the ones that you're already having.
Yeah, this is incredible.
But
Incredible.
most people are running around intending things. And the problem is the universe, the laws of physics don't say that you have to just sit there and intend and feel good about your intention. And I mean, that's what a lot of people were taught. But the issue is until something actually lands in 3D, like until you actually take action on the intention and change the momentum of the trajectory of the thing that you're thinking about or working on, until you actually get involved in it and that the three-dimensional reality changes, consciousness can't respond to an intention without you actually changing something in 3D first. The feedback loop to consciousness can only come when the 3D is what's dancing with the multi D. But if the 3D doesn't change, it doesn't matter how much you're intending because you're still in multi D. You're working with intention. When the intention is acted upon, that's when there's like, oh, this person is so serious that they change three-dimensional reality and they're interested in being on that spiral forward. So if they're interested in not going in circles and they're interested in going on a spiral, then now what they've done is they've moved the needle forward. And so they're interested in a trajectory. So we can respond now to their dance step. They took a dance step. Now we can move our foot. And that's kind of how it works. So intention is the least likely way to get results. So it is the beginning, hopefully, of taking inspired action that then, in the laws of physics, in that beautiful Mobius loop, there's a feedback. And now we have alchemy. Now we have a dance with the entire universe. Now we have movement. So yeah, it's just really remembering that. And that's about health. That's about everything. That's about all of it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, do you explain all that in your book then?
In Unstuck, yeah, I actually do explain it in Unstuck. And actually, if anyone is interested in getting it, I really recommend. Of course, there are people that just love the hard copy. I really recommend the audiobook because I put some extra things in there and you can kind of feel it more from the tonality of a voice. You get more of the codes and the just the magic in the audible. So,
Did you
um,
record it yourself?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, I think there's something to having the original person's voice read the book. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. I think it's a thing. You can have other people read your book, but
Yeah, I know. I
you know,
know.
not a book like this, not a book that changes your life, that changed my life. It really is about me, being able to exude that passion for the material because there's
Mm-hmm.
there's codes, there's something about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So, tell me your trajectory then.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, I started as an economist for a big multinational company. I went
Uh-huh.
to university for accounting and economics, graduated from economics and sociology, double major, and then I ended up going into a big multinational in contract manufacturing. That's when I got really sick, and it's like consciousness was redirecting me to the rest of my life. And so I ended up on the side, I was doing two things which married together. One of them, and this is just all from following the threads of what life was bringing me. I was working at a street youth hostel during the evenings as a volunteer. And
Mm.
then I was also working as a personal trainer on the weekends. And when I got sick, that's when all the personal training clients started to ask me, what I was doing to make myself look so much younger and feel so much younger and da 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 da. So I naturally left the economics job, probably something like, yeah, I don't know what happened to you, but probably something like what happened to you. Just it seemed like the natural trajectory, right? The street youth work was interesting because it also had something to do with my evolution. They had asked me to work part time on weekends because was volunteering and they really liked how I was working with the kids. And so one of the guys offered me, the manager offered me a job. And I started working with the kids. And of course, all of them have very traumatic pasts. And my first job as a paid worker, because as a volunteer, I couldn't have done this, but as a paid worker, I could do it. He gave me this girl named Angel. Was she 14 years old or 15? I think she was 15 years old. And she's like this little blonde thing, just like teeny tiny, 100 pounds soaking wet. Like she's just teeny and so vulnerable. And she had been living on the streets and they suspected that she was schizophrenic. And they said,
Mm.
we need you to walk her to her evaluation. And I said, okay. They said, it's, you got to walk this way and that way, and you got to walk her to wherever. And they said, no touching. Don't talk about anything deep. You're not a social worker. Your job is to walk her. That's it.
Mm.
Well, they don't know me very well. So I started walking with her. And this does feed into the story because it is a formative part of my life where I made the choice to go on the trajectory of being a holographic seer and
Mm.
working with people to come into alignment with their purpose for life. So, what happened was, as I was walking with her, she told me everything that her father did to her, everything her brothers did to her. It was awful, it was terrible. You got to understand, I had heard some of these stories before. It was just
Mhm.
interesting walking with a girl named Angel, and she's being so vulnerable and not schizophrenic, you know, and she's just telling me everything. And within, 5 minutes of leaving the place, of course, I had my arm around her, wasn't supposed to touch her. And of course, I'm already talking to her about her whole life and just really feeling it. And this was the universe giving me a huge gift because when I got her to the psych ward, I thought to myself, or to the psych evaluation, I thought to myself, like, she's just told me her whole story, and I feel like I'm dumping her into the system. Should I take her home? No, then I'll have to take everybody home. Should I, do I become a social worker? No, because the weight I've seen what it does to social workers, and I don't have the fortitude to do that. It's like, why? So I looked up in the sky and I went, like, seriously, universe, God, whatever is out there, show me why I would be put through all of this. And this is after sort of breaking down and crying, you know, falling to my knees and crying about it right outside of the psychiatric place. I'm like in the middle of downtown Toronto, just sitting on a cold cement stair outside of there, just going, what was that? And when I kind of looked up, I felt, did I hear a voice? I don't know if it's hearing a voice. I felt like I was having an internal conversation. And the conversation was, why would you put me in this situation? The feeling back was, you're right. This isn't about becoming a social worker. I'm like, then, and it isn't about taking everybody home, and it isn't about becoming Mother Teresa, you know, then what is, like, why would you catalyze me? Why would you put me through something so painful that I feel like I can't do anything about it? And what I got back was, you are going to understand the way human beings operate so powerfully from the point of view of the laws of physics. You are going to be able to build bridges for people to be able to live in flow and in alignment, to be able to make a difference, to be able to create movements, to be able to build bridges for humanity to a new reality. And your job is to activate and give the tools and give the ways of doing that and have people understand the thriving operating system such that they can be the people that build the new tomorrow. And that's what I got given in that moment.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so,
Mind
yeah.
blowing.
And so you can imagine I'm being kicked out of a big multinational. My parents are so proud that I'm got the best job and all this kind of stuff. I wasn't kicked out. I kicked myself out, of course. I left of my own accord because I got sick. Little did I know that having an integrative health clinic was going to be the path to being able to see people holographically, understand physics. I never, ever would have predicted that. And the issue that most people have is that they're not following those nonlinear threads that life is giving them. Those nonlinear threads are where the alchemy is. That's where you find your flow. And most of us, we want to get to the vision now because we think we're going to be happy. Consciousness doesn't give us the vision so we can get there now. Consciousness gives us the vision so that we'll engage in the curriculum that will get us there. I'm going to say that again.
Absolutely.
Consciousness does not give us the vision of what inspires us in order to just quantum leap to that correct, because I promise you, if you haven't become the person that can contain that vision, it's not going to be satisfying or fulfilling and you'll sabotage it anyways. It gives you the vision so that you'll engage the curriculum for becoming that person. That's what you came here for. And so the curriculum is these little threads: get sick, start reading books, understand nutrition, da 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 da, end up in front of people, see someone that's almost dying of migraines as a result of thinking that, oh my God, like my client, I'm going to die of my migraines. And then having wakened dreams that night that can then give me a vision, blah, 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 blah. It's all just the little threads along the way. It's just the little threads along the way. That's a part of the thriving operating system that we teach, but that kind of gives you an idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what happened with Angel?
Everybody asks me that. So I never found out what happened to Angel because I didn't realize what a significant part in my life she would play. Because remember, she wasn't the only street Kelly. I was talking to kids that had that kind of past all the time, right? I didn't realize that but she was an angel, and I'll tell you why. So her name was an Angel, of course. A lot of street kids end up naming themselves Angel, like a lot of them.
Oh, I
um,
didn't know that.
yeah, because they need one. And so they call
Mm.
themselves Angel. The first time I told that story was in downtown Toronto. And
Hmm.
I was the MC for a show, another magical experience, totally alchemical. This is pretty interesting, Anna, actually. And my friend Cindy, who to this day is just an amazing human being, was doing a show and she asked me to MC. So I MC'd it. And she was having a wardrobe malfunction, if I remember. So I had to take up time. And I realized where I was in Toronto. And I was probably, I don't know, 5 buildings away from that psychiatric institute. And I started telling the story of Angel.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, told the story of Angel for the first time. Like everyone stood up, they were like, "Oh my God, that's wow, that's so amazing." And someone asked me the same question, what happened to Angel? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm so grateful to her and she is an angel for me, blah blah blah, right? And then I'm walking out. This is my answer to your question. I'm walking out of the church, Anna. And this woman runs, I'm going to cry when I tell this. This
Oh
woman
gosh.
just runs after me. She's running after me. And she goes, Jennifer, Jennifer, stop. And I'm like, who's this person? Because I don't know her. And she goes, I'm not Angel, but I want you to know that I used to live on the streets. And I said, really? And she said, yeah, I used to live on the streets. And she said, because the question from the crowd was not, did you ever meet up with Angel and find out what happened to her? The question was, did you ever find out if your conversation with her made a difference or if intended to have an answer like that? And this woman comes up to me and she goes, Jennifer, I had someone like you who didn't follow the rules that listened to me, that was interested in what I had to say, that just loved me, you know? And I said, "Oh, wow." She goes, "But I'm not Angel, but I want you to know that that woman totally changed my life." So I don't know what happened to Angel, but what I do know is that when we show up in vulnerability and when we show up, again, I'm going back to showing up as ourselves. Your job is the excuse to express yourself. Your purpose is who it is that you express through whatever job you're at. That's your purpose. Stop looking for a job to give you that. Be yourself. And so I was just being myself. And I got to hear back from someone who was an angel. And by the way, since then, of course, you're not the only one to ask me, did you ever hear from Angel? Since then, I was also on other, I was also asked because I've told the story a few times, whatever happened to Angel. And I'll always get, well, not always, but almost always get someone in the people who are in the interview that says, I used to live on the street and there was someone that cared about me, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's really cool. It's a fractal universe. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter that I didn't meet Angel. I met lots of angels, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what is required from us is so simple. I
And
always
we
tell this,
overcomplicate it like crazy.
we do, we do, we overthink, we overcomplicate. And I love to tell this because this is what I do believe that love is the answer.
Hmm.
If we are compassionate and if we approach people with love, that is the answer. That is what is required.
Oh, oh, it's what moves the needle. Now, here's the thing. I would challenge you to say that you don't just believe it, that you don't just believe this, you don't just actually think it, that you actually know that love is the, what I can tell from you when I look at your hologram is that you absolutely 100% know that love is the way. Just imagine your little scientific left brain engineering human self. And isn't it interesting that by deconstructing life, which I can see that you have done, because that's how engineers' brains work, because I know, by deconstructing life, isn't it interesting how we come to the conclusion by deconstructing life as with little engineering brains that we come to a conclusion that's completely non-mathematical, that love, like how does the equation, you know, love equals mc squared or whatever, there that there's some equation, but it all equals love, whatever form of expression it is for you, because, and by the way, love does not equal carrying. That's the other piece that people miss. Carrying people is not love. Worrying about people is not love. Love is love. I had to have that conversation with my mother when she got breast cancer, and she asked me, Jennifer, when you look at my hologram, what does it say when she got
Oh,
breast cancer? And I said, well, it asks me because I'm not a big believer in giving people the answers. I'm a big believer in asking the right questions because then you empower people. So I asked her, well, what is the biggest stress in your life or worry? And she said, I worry about all you kids. She goes, but that's just what it is to be a mother and to love you. And I'm like, no, love is love and worry is worry. They are not the same thing. They are not entangled. You can entangle them if you wish because you have free will, but they are not entangled. Love is love and worry is worry. You can love me, but worry is a choice. It's interesting. So now I phone my mother much more often than I used to, you know? I'm sharing this because I want to make sure, because a lot of times when people say love, what they end up doing is they carry people and they think, well, this is the answer. How come it's not working? But it's not being a martyr about it. Love is unconditional. So true love is unconditional, or it's not love. You can't love and then want the conditions to change. That is conditional, and that's not love. That's attachment. It's trying to manipulate the universe by being a good person. But love does not have attachment. Love just happens and it just is, kind of like God. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It absolutely is unconditional. And what I think it's amazing, like circling back to the beginning of our conversation,
Mm-hmm.
how nature models that to us,
Mm-hmm.
how animals love us, and
Mm-hmm.
how we love them back
Mm-hmm.
with no conditions, and
Yes.
how she, as mother nature, Mother Earth,
It's
provides
unconditional.
to us unconditionally,
Yep.
even though we are distracting and
Yep.
burning and
Yep.
warming up everything.
Yep.
The
She breathes
abundance
out
is still there, and she's
100%.
still providing.
And she breathes out what we breathe in all day long, every day, all the time. She doesn't even care that we take her for granted, whatever that means. What she cares about is that we are, that we exist, that God thought we were a good idea. And so there's just that existence. And what a great activation of our natural state of unconditional love than to be walking in nature, like I said like I shared at the beginning. So, yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. There is no question. It's a thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I can feel that you get
Ooh,
it.
I do.
Yep.
I do. And I
Yeah.
hope everybody else that will listen to this will too, because that is the intention.
With whatever level of getting it that they're available to,
Mm-hmm.
not making wrong that it's just an idea right now. It's not fully embodied. Remember that you're becoming as a process. You're becoming as a process. So I'm never not becoming, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone is never not becoming.
Exactly.
It's humbling because
Mm-hmm. Because
because
we are changing and evolving every single minute.
I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, I'm sure. So, yeah, but I know that love always gets me the words.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
My
yeah.
goodness. Oh, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for creating the space for this conversation. Your love of what you do and your passion for people to get it, definitely I can feel that. Yeah, I just appreciate you following the threads of consciousness that are getting you to the place of who you are and why you're here. So, because otherwise I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. So, how
Very
great is
true.
that? I want everyone to know, actually, Anna, if the conversation resonates because of what we teach, that thriving operating system, it's so important in these times of great change. And what I would share is, first of all, Unstuck would be a very good book to read. It would help to contextualize it. But I really recommend, if someone wants to get on this path and to embody those codes, I really recommend just emailing us support@thewideawakening.com, honestly. Even if it has nothing to do with working with us, we often direct people to the right book or the right practitioner or the right whatever it is, or one of our programs or whatever. And to me, that's what love is. You just help people find their way, whether it has to do with you or not. It's not
Absolutely.
we're all in this together at this point. There's a lot going on out there, and man, oh man, do we need each other. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And we need community.
indeed.
Yeah. Like you said, more than ever.
Yeah, more than
We,
ever.
yeah, we are in
So,
this together.
yep.
So tell people where they can find you then.
You can find me at thewideawakening.com. There's a resource to actually take some of the initial parts of our programs at no charge, and that is to be able to join 30 days free and actually have a free membership to the basic level of our community where all the unicorns and seekers live. One of those get out of your own way courses, which is, I don't know, it usually costs about $600, is there for free. You can actually just take it. So, and they'll be able to join the very first monthly call called Awaken Conversations.
And your book is available through Amazon, right?
My book is available through Amazon, or if you want the Audible, you go on Audible. I get great feedback about that book. People, they'll read it once, and then if they're having a tough day, they'll just like crack it open to a page and read it and go, "Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear." So it's kind of designed that way at the same time as it definitely goes through a process.
Amazing. So I'll have all the links in the show notes so people can find your book and the link
Oh,
to your
thank you.
website.
Thank you.
I'm dying to see how your courses are because just for this conversation, I think they might be amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty revolutionary. I think you of all people would love them given how your brain works.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. I'll
yeah,
check it out.
I'd love that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Anna. Truly, I can definitely feel your alignment with the reason why you're on the planet, and I know how much courage that takes, and I know that it takes not thinking like everybody else, and I know that it takes, moving through. People think you're kind of cuckoo for doing what you did, but I am here to validate that you are, the gift of being able to see holographically is you can see when someone's in perfect alignment with who they are and why they're here. And you definitely are. So thank you for being that in the world.
Thank you so much. That is very well received.
Good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And let's keep up the good work.
Let's keep up the good work, right? Thanks, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow the show. You can also share it with your friends, rate it, and write a review. Rates and reviews help the show go to the top ranks so more people can benefit from its message. See you in the next episode. Until then, remember, good is what makes you feel well. Vista transcende.